Good afternoon. Welcome to the monastery and to Canadian Orthodox Broadcasting. My friend and colleague David Goa and I are going to have some discussions on video. But before we enter into those particular discussions, I want to bring up something particularly to our Canadian viewers. And this is the case of Mikhail Yennikov, who, as some of you will know, has been a refugee for the past 3 years in one of the Lutheran churches in Vancouver. And it's a very sad case where Immigration Canada has shown an incapacity to actually take any kind of humane action and to respond to the unique positions of some of the refugees who come to Canada. And yet each one generally needs a unique response. Mikhail Yennikov in particular came as a student to Canada, and because in the former Soviet Union he'd worked at a very low level for the KGB, not really as an officer or anything like that. However, whilst he was in Canada, a highly nationalistic, although very small, group of Ukrainian political activists who are really what we would call hyper-nationalists, have protested Mr. Yennikov's presence in Canada, and because, although they're small and not taken too seriously by the larger Ukrainian community, the government has taken them seriously, and they protested Mr. Yennikov's presence in Canada on the false information that he was much more of an activist with the KGB. Indeed, they've taken to blaming him for incidents that took place in the 1920s and 1930s during the reign of Joseph Stalin, although the man wasn't born until the late 50s. So on the basis of this activity by these hyper-nationalists who really have very little influence within the Ukrainian community, but politicians seeing the national census regarding that there are a few 100,000 people of Ukrainian ancestry in Canada, seem to think that these people can influence votes one way or the other. It simply isn't the truth. But the First Lutheran Church in Vancouver has given shelter to Mr. Yennikov and his family in a really laudatory way. They sheltered him as a refugee in the church for the past 3 years. And they've, in the meantime, formed a very good relationship between Mr. Yennikov and the community of the Lutheran Church. Now, he has sanctuary in the church and cannot leave the church at all. So for 3 years, he's lived in this one building without being able to go outdoors, and all because of the outcries of this very small but very vocal hyper-nationalistic political group which claims to speak for the Ukrainian community but indeed does not. And the inability of politicians to rise above these things to look at a genuinely humanitarian issue and to respond in a positive way to Mr. Yennikov and his family. Now, his son has graduated from a Canadian secondary school and become very thoroughly Canadianized. Mr. Yennikov is, by all reports from everyone who's encountered him in any way, the ideal immigrant, the kind of citizen that we need to invite into Canada and embrace when they come here. So I'd like to ask for some support from those of you, our Canadian viewers, for presenting Mr. Yennikov's case to local members of Parliament and to the Minister of Immigration, and see if some kind of common sense might prevail and Mr. Yennikov's situation be resolved in a positive manner. So I will invite any and all of you to communicate with us to our email address and ask for more details and ask what you might do to help support the cause of Mikhail Yennikov and his family. We think it's very important. We think as the Lutheran Church has behaved itself in an exemplary Christian fashion, that sets an example for all the rest of us, that we Orthodox could learn a few things from them and from the way this this community operates, and for the openness of heart and of mind, and the openness and greatness of spirit that they've demonstrated. So I want to ask you all, please contact us here at the monastery, ask what you might be able to do in Mr. Yennikov's behalf, and we'll help you even to compose letters or compose petitions, or with how to approach your own member of parliament. So thank you very much, and God bless you.